what could possibly end up being the last game between Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola's masterful teams ended up being an incredible matchup that still has me buzzing up until this very moment, man. Beyond the controversy, beyond even just the complexities of this game, man. Just I want to do an applause, man.
Truly, what a football match.
What a football match, and also just what a matchup between these two historic clubs now that have brought us such high-level football for the past 5-6 years that every single time these games come on, no matter how late I stayed up the previous night, no matter how lit I got, I have to wake up to watch because these matches are just must-see TV and the quality on the pitch is impeccable, dude.
I was thinking about this match all week, bro. All week. Last night, I started getting giddy knowing that I was going to wake up to a tremendous match of football, and that's exactly what we got. But dude, my initial reaction after this match is I'm actually having a problem with how I should feel after this game because I think right off the bat, I don't know how Liverpool didn't win this game.
For sure.
I think they should have. That Luis Diaz moment I want to highlight, one-on-one, become legend, man. Yeah. Put it in the back of the net. I can only imagine the pressure that he must have felt. And it wasn't super clear cut, but in a game where there's almost no room, when you're playing the champion Manchester City, you're given that opportunity. You got to put it in the back of the net. You have to become a hero. And he had an amazing game. I don't even want to criticize him.
He had an amazing game, but his finishing was what ended up holding himself back in this match, man. That opportunity had me screaming at my fucking laptop when I was watching the game, man, because I could not believe just how wide and how badly he caught the ball. Yes, it was bouncing a little bit, and yes, he was on the move, but bro, you have to finish it. In this type of match, those are the chances that we've seen guys like Mo Salah finish, Diego Jota finish. Luis Diaz, it was his turn to step up and be the hero. And like you say, he just fell short. And that was, to me, ultimately the most crucial play of the match because it was so clear cut. I think the second or top three most controversial play of the game was the way this game ended, with most of the discourse being shaped around it, which was that Doku McAllister weird, awkward encounter where Doku, if you look at this still, catches McAllister on the chest with his studs. Doesn't look good, but with the context of the play, I think it's very muddy, man. As a Liverpool fan, as a personal fan of the sport, I can't help but think that if I was refereeing the game, I don't know if I'd let a play like that go, or at the very least, I'm very disappointed that they didn't go to the VAR screen to at least get an opinion from the official on the field to see what happened. The fact that it was just kind of overlooked left me with a little bit of a sour taste because it was one of the final plays of the match, and I do think it was worthy of at least being considered a penalty shout.
Yeah, there's a lot of contact on McAllister from Doku, who is swinging the ball, who is swinging up, trying to clear the ball. Thing is, I looked at it like 20 times because I was like, is this a penalty? Because if there was enough contact, I think it should have been called, or at least reviewed, like you said. But I think Doku gets the ball first. Like, he does just get the ball as he's clearing it, and then he strikes the chest of McAllister. It's almost at the same time. It's definitely a muddy play for sure, but I do think it's the right call to ultimately not call a penalty.
I would disagree. I think if you look at that in the midfield, if you look at that any other part of the pitch, even if he does get the ball first, I don't think that matters in this sense. It's a dangerous play, putting your foot up that high, and I think it's a bad decision by Doku to ultimately end up deciding to put his leg up that high to get the ball, while McAllister was playing it safe, going with his body.
Right.
To not, or I guess to let Doku get away with that seems a little... I don't know, man. It messes with my refereeing conspiracies that I'm seeing here with what happened against Tottenham, man. Okay. I don't know what's going on with these referees in the Prem, but we've seen it before where players get red carded despite hitting the ball first in the midfield. Why are we going to give that a pass in the penalty box, man? A much more opportunistic point of the pitch. I just found it to be very, very ultimately bad refereeing from Michael Oliver here, letting that play go because I just don't think you put your leg up that high and hit a guy in the chest, no matter what the context is.
I just have to disagree, though. I see your point that if this was a play in the midfield, it would have been a foul, 100%. But just the way football's called, there's always those weird moments where if there's like a 50-50 battle in the midfield, the ref is really, really easy on the whistle because he doesn't mind stopping the play and giving the ball to whoever earned it. But when it's in the box, there's always a hesitancy to call a penalty. And the thing is, I think it's right to be hesitant, because to get a goal, you have to fully earn it. I don't think McAllister fully earned it there when the ball was 50-50. And considering Doku did get the ball first, I think it's fair, no penalty. But I do see your claim.
I'm just saying, bro, if Man City gets this penalty call, I don't know if you're saying that. I don't know if you're saying that Man City gets this penalty.
No, I would. I definitely would say it.
All right.
I promise you.
We'll see then. We'll see. Because I don't think, if this happened in Liverpool's box, bro, I don't think they would have called it the same way. I'm starting to get a little conspiracy theory with this whole shit, bro. Maybe that's just my fan perspective, but I'm seeing the Odegaard handball against Arsenal when we were hosting them as well didn't get called. The Tottenham fiasco. Now we have this opportunity that I do think was worthy of at least getting checked, and that's what rubs me the wrong way, man. That's what it's a slap to the face. It's an insult to at least not consider it, given the context of the situation, which was Liverpool Manchester City title race on the line. Can we at least double check and make sure that we're on the same page here? So that frustrates me. But beyond that, looking at the actual match, it was an absolute beauty of a game with how this whole thing panned out, starting off with Manchester City honestly dominating those first 10-15 minutes, Liverpool looking a little unsure of themselves, or at the very least inexperienced, in the sense that 8 could-be starters weren't on the pitch, and instead we had our backups or reserves playing at a very high level still. But Manchester City came out firing, man, and they had like 3 or 4 pretty clear chances to start off with that they couldn't finish, up until that corner kick, where we had a beautiful, masterfully crafted off the training ground corner kick from Kevin De Bruyne that ends at John Stones' feet to give them a 1-0 lead, completely surprising Liverpool in the front post and giving Manchester City the lead 1-0 to start the game.
A brilliant near post delivery from Kevin De Bruyne, and right before that goal, Liverpool were just starting to find themselves in the match, because for the first 10 minutes, it really was all Manchester City. And when they get that goal, it's like, oh, okay, shit. Like, Liverpool were just getting into it. How are they going to respond? But, I mean, they responded ever so well, because pretty much for the rest of that first half, Liverpool slowly started to tick offensively, get more chances. And, bro, the way they were spreading Manchester City was so impressive.
You'd rarely see it.
Rarely see it. And the overload that Harvey Elliott and Connor Bradley would provide on the right-hand side would make the isolation of Luis Diaz on the left-hand side so dangerous, man. And again, they really spread out that Manchester City back line. And the more it happened, I was just thinking the entire time, Liverpool's going to get a goal here. And when they do, I don't see Manchester City really responding to this. Yeah. And that's kind of what happened. But I mean, just what a weird match of football this ultimately ended up being, because for all that Liverpool did, for all that they crafted, for as much as they spread Manchester City, it was a Manchester City self-inflicted wound that got Liverpool their only goal of the match.
Yeah, coming from one of the players that does that the least, in Nathan Ake. Of all the players on Manchester City, it was him who ended up passing off a very soft pass to Ederson that puts him in a very bad position. Nunez and his work rate showed itself right there, where he chased the ball relentlessly, gets just the slightest touch on the ball. Ederson takes him out, clear penalty. But I agree, man. From the Manchester City scored around the 25th minute. Yeah. For like the next 50 minutes, I wouldn't say it was all Liverpool, but it was pretty much Liverpool dominating the game and having the front foot in the match, which was just so impressive to me. I thought this was just a true testament to Klopp's greatness, because his ability to have this sort of execution no matter who's on the pitch. I mean, we've talked about the names. You have Connor Bradley, you have Elliott, you have Kelleher, you have Kwanzaa, and you can even throw in Endo, who's a first-timer in this sense of facing off against Manchester City in this sort of context, in this sort of atmosphere, in this sort of situation, and they all stepped up the way that they have this entire year, bro. I was just so impressed to see them continue operating in the same old Liverpoolian way, despite the players that we were missing, and the fact that we didn't pounce on that and take advantage of it just showed itself, man. I think that's where the absence of guys that we had in the past, such as Sadio Mane's clinical finishing, Roberto Firmino's amazing finishing abilities. When Salah would hand the ball off, it would be one of those two guys at the end of it, and those are the guys that would step up and score. This time, I do think the lack of showed with Luis Diaz missing a few, Darwin Nunez missing a few. Soboslai, I think, had a great opportunity outside the box, also couldn't get it to go. Like, all around, the offensive line, I thought, was a little short in those moments, but still, we proved to be the better team for following 40 minutes up until we finally got that goal to make it 1-1.
That's ultimately why I'm frustrated after this match, because basically from the 60th to like the 75th minute, the onslaught that Liverpool were pulling off was ridiculous. And you already named it, but I just think Liverpool were a little bit unlucky. Szoboszlai just couldn't really catch the ball the way he usually does when he's outside of the box looking to score a banger. And Darwin Núñez had a really good chance, but it was ultimately gobbled up by, I believe, Ortega once he came in for Ederson.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just, I think Liverpool did ever so well to craft and break this Manchester City defense, but I'm just kind of, I'm frustrated they just couldn't score more goals considering how well they played. Yeah. But you know what's also crazy is that this is a complete testament to Manchester City's never say die attitude. The amount of last-ditch defending from Kyle Walker, Manuel Akanji, and hell, dude, even Bernardo Silva at times.
Stones.
It was ridiculous. That's ultimately how Manchester City stayed in this game, was the last-ditch defending from pretty much every single Manchester City player. But I think it just plays into more so how impressive Liverpool were, because that's what City were reduced to. Last-ditch defending and a frustrated Kevin De Bruyne
I was about to say, man.
Coming out of the game in the 70th minute, when usually he's staying on the pitch trying to craft a last-minute goal.
Yeah, I would assume that's from lack of fitness. I guess that's what it comes down to, but he was angry, man. He was really angry. Bro? He had a whole moment with Pep where it's in front of the entire crowd. Everyone's seeing it. The cameras are seeing a good prolonged moment with Pep as he's coming off the pitch. And then afterwards on the bench, Pep goes to him and like actually sits down and talks to him, like trying to nurture an angry son. It was very bizarre because I rarely see Pep do that. Obviously, Pep understands the magnitude of this player. He understands the moment. He understands why he's so angry. But I really do wonder what were the words exchanged there, because Kevin De Bruyne looked visibly frustrated.
It was crazy. And even after going at Pep coming out of the game, he started like talking to like the assistants too, or somebody on the bench that wasn't Pep. I was like, damn, like what is he actually saying? Is he saying like, why are you taking me off? Or is he like talking about tactics? Like, we haven't played good game, this is why. Yeah. Like, what was he saying, bro? I'm dying to know.
And it's just crazy, man, because ultimately, like you said, the last ditch defending, Manchester City being on their toes with Liverpool pushing at them, trying to get that goal, and, you know, not really being able to pull it off, but still Manchester City showing a side of themselves that is rarely shown, despite how against the wall they were in those latter moments of the match. They still had an opportunity through Jeremy Doku where the ball hit the fucking post. Yeah. And if it's just an inch to the left, could possibly bounce in and they could see themselves coming out of Anfield with a victory. Instead, by the grace of the footballing gods, the ball hits the post, comes back out to Kelleher, and he regains possession of it. But that moment in of itself, I think it was around the 80th minute. I was like, good Lord, that's Manchester City's danger right there. The ability the fact that they can take on so much pressure, look like they're the lesser team in a match, but then suddenly have that moment of brilliance and damn near take the lead.
That's why I was super scared going the last 10 minutes, because there's just always that chance. Maybe Erling Haaland just gets on the end of a ball. And that's how Manchester City have usually won games when they're really, really tied. It's just a moment of brilliance from one individual player. Phil Foden's done it all season long. But ultimately, Liverpool were able to hold on in those really crazy moments. But Kelleher, man, I'm just... He's a player that I'm just so impressed with. Like, low key, do you need Alisson at this? Like, it's kind of crazy how amazing Kelleher is. What really impresses me the most about him is how quick he is off his line. In every single match Liverpool has played, pretty much the last month, there's a big moment where there's an incoming opposition player, but Kelleher comes out quick and gobbles up the chance every single time. He did it in this match too with a Phil Foden chance, getting on the end of it on the right-hand side, but Kelleher's just so quick. He's so quick off his line, and Liverpool have an incredible backup goalkeeper. It's ridiculous.
I'm truly surprised how much he's grown into that role. We've been seeing it this whole year, but like he himself, like if you look back at his highlights from like 2-3 years ago, I mean, he looks more like a man now. I think he's 25 years old now. Like he was really going through that aging process, but it's just such a privilege now to have a guy like Kelleher as our backup goalkeeper. When you think about the curses, the things that haunt us from our past, looking back at the UEFA Champions League final when we had Laurie Karius at guiding our back line, and ended up ultimately losing a Champions League final for us with two awful howlers of a mistake to give Benzema a goal, Gareth Bale a goal against Real Madrid. To go from that, a player that could barely look himself in the mirror because of how badly of mistakes he had made, to Keller, who has instead stepped up when he's been given the pressure, despite having a somewhat awkward start to the season. He's been immense, man. Immense, stepping up when you need him most. And you could say that for so many players on this Liverpool team. One more player that I would like to highlight is Wataru Endo, bro. Because this dude looked comfortable in this midfield playing against the best midfield in the world, Manchester City's. He looked absolutely comfortable and he was so active, absolutely relentless. To me, this was one of his best performances because this is one of the biggest stages I've seen him on. And just the fact that he didn't look phased once, bro. Once. Yeah. I truly was surprised. Whereas there were other Liverpool players, maybe they had a couple mishaps here or there. Endo, I thought, was absolutely perfect, bro. Inch perfect, and absolutely impressed me because I just did not see him ascending to this level, given that he was only worth like 15 million euros in the transfer market.
It's got to be probably one of the better signings of the season. Didn't look like it at the beginning, but just the fact that he's been able to fit into this Liverpool side, whether it's off the bench or in a starting position, so seamlessly, like, what a get for Liverpool. He's been fantastic, man.
So going off of highlighting players, let's discuss. It's a 1-1 draw. Who was the man of the match of this game? Is it a Man City player? Is it a Liverpool player?
It has to be a Liverpool player. Honestly, I don't know who I'd give it to.
I think the media gave it to Virgil.
They gave it to Virgil van Dijk. I mean, he was really, really good, but I didn't see any moment where he exceeded expectations. He played a 9 out of 10 game. He always does. The fact that it ended 1-1, I think it's easier to give it to a defender, but low-key, I almost want to give it to like maybe Luis Diaz, for the amount of dribble penetration that he pulled off against Manchester City today. Low-key, maybe even Endo for the work rate that he put in the midfield. The amount of ball retrievals that he got was tremendous, was immense for Liverpool. I mean, you could give it to pretty much any Liverpool player, and I think it'd be okay.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Yeah, I guess I'll agree with the media on this one. I'll go Virgil on this one. But guys, let us know in the comments who should have the Man of the Match award for today's match. Spectacular game now, but the implications are even bigger now, man.
Yeah, and this is why I'm still frustrated after this game, because now, weirdly enough, this result kind of gives Arsenal a slight edge here. They're in first place based off of goal difference. Thing is, they have to play Manchester City.
And that's why I'm not giving them the edge, brother. That's why I'm not giving them the edge, because there's that Etihad tax that you have to pay. I don't see Arsenal winning that match, so I'm chalking that up as a loss, no disrespect. So therefore, I don't mind them having a 1-point lead as of this moment. I'm perfectly fine with the table right now. If anything, I'm actually pretty happy with the fact that we are still second place. We're above Manchester City. Liverpool's in second place at the moment, and we have the easiest schedule for the next 10 games. I think it's looking positive for us, and I think ultimately getting a tie is good, despite the fact that had we won, it would have been even more than enough. It would have been incredible, but we didn't get that. We got the tie. That's way better than how I felt 30 minutes into this game when Manchester City was up 1-0. I thought maybe there would be the chance that Manchester City just goes out and dominates this Liverpool team. Didn't end up happening. I'll take the tie, 1-1, second place.
10 games, though. That's a lot. And just thinking about it outside of that Arsenal-Manchester City clash that awaits us at the end of March, this title race, I think, is going to come down to not necessarily the top three, but it's which mid-table team in the Premier League is going to pull off an upset, and who is it going to be against?
Damn, that's crazy. Yeah, because we're talking about 10 games each, so 30 games total.
That's so much. Bro.
There's no way all three teams win all 30, right? So yeah, which ones are going? Which Crystal Palace, Brentford, whoever it might be, who will it be that steps up and gets in the way of these three teams that are chasing absolute glory, man? It really is up for grabs. Fuck, dude. It could be like an Everton. It could be like a Sheffield, especially because these teams get much more amped up once they're facing off against relegation. Those matchups are also very intense too. So, yeah, man, I mean, we'll see. I got nothing else to say. We'll see on this one, man. I'll check back with you on this one. It's going to be absolutely intense, man.